Right, in this video I'm going to show you how I made this solid hardwood Mario brick storage box. Perfect for storing anything you like. I mean, you can keep all your mushrooms in there. So let's go ahead, I'll show you how I made it. Let's go. Right, first thing we've got to do is to get these boards jointed and glued up together into panels. After that, we're going to be using those panels to make the original external box. I actually got all of these boards from refurbished floorboards. You can see how I did that in a previous video, and that's pretty much it. Right, now the best way I find to joint boards is to joint them in the pairs that you're actually going to be gluing them up. In that way, if your fence is off slightly, then the angles counteract each other and you still get a nice flat board.
Day 2, day 3.
But now, after leaving it set up overnight, or in this case 2 nights, I'm going to get it all out of the clamps, get the excess glue scraped off with a chisel or a scraper, and then run it over the jointer and then through the thicknesser to get it all flat and down to a consistent thickness. Right, so that's all my oak panels glued up into their blanks at the moment. We can now use these as if you're bought with sheet goods. We're going to be working the same. If you want to make it out of plywood, you'll basically go from this step onwards to get this project done. I've got some maple for the question mark. I was planning on doing the bricks out of walnut, but I don't really seem to have enough scrap walnut left around. I do, however, have some sapele that I have left over from another project, so I'm going to use the sapele as the bricks and then use the maple as the question mark box in the middle. So I've got to go get all of these cut down, get them milled down to the correct thickness, because I only want it about 5-6 mil thick, and then from that point then we have to cut them all down to the size that we need and get this whole thing put together. So I tried to resaw this over at the bandsaw, but the blade kept wandering off, so I'm just going to send it through the thicknesser until it all comes down to the same thickness as the sapele pieces that I've got, just because I want everything to be the same thickness all across the face of the cupboard door. So I'm just going to run this through, get everything down to the same thickness, and we'll go from there. Now, bandsaws are capable of resawing maple at that size. It's just the fact that I didn't want to change the blade for one cut, and I had to go back to the thinner blade after, so that's the reason why I'm doing it this way. Right, so now I'm going to be bringing out the old crosscut sled just to cut all the individual bricks down, either the full bricks and the half bricks, get them all cut to size over on the table saw. So. Well, I don't know what happened there, my camera just seemed to cut out in the middle of recording, so I've just gone through and got the rest of the bricks cut. I've got all the full pieces, got the half pieces, just got it laid out here a little bit so you can get the idea of what it's going to look like in the end. Now I've got to work on getting all the carcass pieces cut and glued together, and also I think I'm going to go and put a slight chamfer on all of the bricks and the question marks just to give it a bit more depth and make it look a bit cleaner. So I've got to go through, get all of that done, and then it's pretty much time to start assembly. So let's go.
3 hours later.
Right, so now we've got the fun part of getting the clamps off, get all the tape off, go through, make all the bricks, get it all basically just glued together, and then I can get the door on it and it should be done. It's the last step, but it is going to take a long time to get it all done. So now I forgot to mention that I'm going to be using a French cleat to hang it on the wall. That's what you can see me gluing onto the piece here. Now, I'm also still fairly new in making YouTube videos, so if there's anything that you can think of that will make the videos a bit more enjoyable to watch, or a bit more information that you would like to know as I'm building, let me know so I can always improve. Now, I wouldn't recommend cutting pieces this small over on the table saw unless you've got one of these micro jig grippers. They come in super handy, and it's the only thing I actually feel safe using on the table saw with such small pieces. Right, so now I've got all of these cut and in position. I now have to go around and glue all of them that are going to be wrapping around the box, get them all glued together, and once they're actually once they're actually in the position they need to be, then I'm going to cut them down after to get the thickness of the door, so it's going to continuously wrap around and the grain will follow all the way through. Now, just to give you an idea of how long these steps actually took, this video is sped up 40 times speed. So it might look like it's a little job, but it takes a hell of a long time to do. I've used way too much glue on these pieces and I'm just taking them apart. I've actually left them about 3 hours to cure, and what I'm scraping off there is just a squeeze out of the glue. I was just leaving it. It's a bit easier to scrape off once it starts to dry. If you just try and wipe it off when it's wet, sometimes it just smudges over everywhere and it just makes it even more complicated when you want to actually get a nice sharp corner. And what you're about to see me do next, I would only recommend if you are very comfortable with a router and got a nice sharp bit and full control. I always get comments saying that this is a very dangerous thing to do, but like I said, if you've got a nice sharp bit in your router, you keep a good firm grip on the actual workpieces, and you're only doing a slight chamfer around over, I think it's more than safe. But obviously only do this if you feel comfortable. Right, now that I've got all the pieces cut, routed and everything to size, I'm going to use a combination of wood glue and CA glue to get these all glued into position, so then I can do the final sanding and then get the door fit to the cabinet.
Montage.
Doing it this way, you get the strength of the wood glue, and the CA glue acts as a temporary clamp.
Much later.
If you've never used CA glue before, it's basically a two-part glue with an activator, and it goes off in a few seconds.
Much later.
Now you might notice that I'm using a couple of spacers there just to make sure I've got all the gaps equal all the way around.
Much later.
Now that took a long time. So now I've got these all glued into position. They're all in their final stage now, so I'm going to get this all sanded, probably up to about 180 grit, and then get a coat of finish on it, get the hardware on, and then we should be done. Well, just take a look at that camera placement. You can see exactly what I'm doing here, can't you? Right, so now we're going to be applying our finish. I'm going to be using Osmo top oil. I always like to apply my finish on the bottoms of the pieces first, then I flip them over and rest them on these little blocks that I make to keep it elevated, keep airflow, and apply our finish to the rest of the piece. I'll do it this way just so I can get the whole piece done in one go rather than having to do one side, let that dry, and then do the other. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing now. Now here I'm just fixing the second half of the French cleat onto the wall so we can get the cabinet mounted, and I'll give a final couple of shots of what it looks like in the end. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and you'll see me in the next one.